Hey guys, it's Serenardo here. Well, haven't made a video since Toontown closed forever on September 19th. I'm fine now, but I've been a little obsessed with the whole Toontown situation. There are two factors here that get me obsessed. The already confirmed Toontown rewritten, and the apparent Toontown 2, Toontown 2.0, or Downtown Toontown. In this video, I will analyze the leaked photos of Toontown 2 and see what secrets they might unveil. Keep in mind that all the things I say might not actually be in the game, as it is just speculating. And if I missed something that you noticed, please post in the comments and I will cover it in later videos. And with that, let's begin with this first photo, which is my favorite, of Toontropolis at dusk. A lot's going on in this picture, so it'll take a while to figure out what's hidden. First off, look at the buildings on the left and on the right. They seem to have a lot of windows, as well as curtains in those windows. But did you notice that a Toon mouse is in one of them? This could imply that instead of having your own house in the middle of nowhere, you could rent apartments at Toontropolis. Or maybe this could imply that you might also be able to build your own house if you can't rent apartments. Here's a pretty obvious one. The horse driving the pickup truck. While this seems innocent enough, this might imply that instead of walking everywhere, you can also drive to where you want to go, which would explain the stoplight, which would probably has a mechanic where you stop at red and go at green. It could also make for some car chases with cogs. Also, did you notice that flying mailbox? This could imply that this is how mail gets to you. Or maybe it could be a guardian angel for when you fight cogs. But the falling envelopes tell you that it's more likely to be a first one, and if you look closer, you'll notice that it says airmail on it. So this is even more proof that it could be the first one. Look to the right of the mailbox to see a rather odd-shaped building. Look familiar? It looks just like one of the princess castles at each Disney park. It bears a striking resemblance to Sleeping Beauties in Disneyland and Cinderella's in Walt Disney World especially. Also, did you notice this shadow? It looks like a cow, but it definitely isn't Clarabelle. Could this mean that cows are going to be a species in Toontown too? This would make sense since cows were part of the species election in the old Toontown along with chickens and goats. So could this mean that chickens and goats will be species in Toontown too as well? One last thing before we move on. This picture is also in a different variation. Toontropolis at day. This could mean that Toontown 2 might use specific time, or Toontown time, to make the game night when it's actually night and day when it's actually day. Now take a look at this picture. This one bewilders me, as I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it looks like some kind of cog city. This would make sense since the cog-looking gears spread out. It would also fit in the mood of the cogs are the antagonists and this skull plastered on a building over here. Also, with these three bars, it looks like some sort of Cellbot symbol from the original game. This being a cog city would also explain why there's this big cog building-looking building over here. Try saying that 3 times fast. What doesn't seem right here are the tunes on this sign here. Maybe it'll say, "These are dunes, destroy them," or something. Also, what is with all these random shapes anywhere? Is this Disney's attempt at Picasso or something? Maybe it's a minigame based on shapes. Also, while I was searching around, I made a startling discovery. If you put 2 and 2 together, you can pair up this picture with a different picture. So this actually isn't the full picture. This is. So the skull building isn't a building. It's a pirate ship, which might hint at a possible comeback of Pirates of the Caribbean Online. Could this mean that Toontown 2 will be a combo game of all 3 games that Disney had closed? Okay, that's all we have for this picture. More developments will probably happen with discoveries on this picture, so stay tuned. Okay, here's another picture with the alleged Cog City. Now, there's not a whole lot in this picture that we haven't covered in the first Cog City picture, but did you notice the neon sign? I might be paranoid, but since it's green, this might be some kind of cash bot HQ. Remember how in the first picture we pointed out the Cellbot symbol looking bars? This could mean that the first picture is a Cellbot portion of Cog City, or maybe these are different cities spread out across Toontown like in the first game. Which would mean that this would be Cashbot City, and the last one would be Cellbot City. That means Lawbot City and Bossbot City are yet to be seen. That's all we can find on this picture, but since it's so big, so much stuff happening, remember, if you see anything, please post in the comments. Now let's take a look at this picture. Now the first thing you'll notice is that this is strikingly similar to the field offices in the original Toontown. But considering how tall the structures are, this could be part of some footage we've already seen of Lawbot field offices. So Toontown 2 might actually have the Legal Eagle field offices that have been speculated about for years. This leads us to this picture. Now, this looks like the same design as any other field office or condominium, so we know it's a field office, but it doesn't look like a Cellbot or Lawbot one. If you look around, you notice it looks like some kind of factory. Things such as stompers, grinders, and others are seen. This could be a Cashbot field office because this might be a money factory. It would make sense because the stompers we see here might be stomping coin molds. This grinder could be a dollar maker, or it might even be a silver gold maker. So this really could be a Cashbot field office, and other concept art reveals that it will be a loan shark field office if it is a Cashbot field office. Now let's take a look at some pictures from the actual prototype. Okay, so this first one looks a lot like the picture we first looked at. So this must be Toontropolis at dusk. First off, you can see that the pet shop is back, so the Doodles must also be back. The clothing shop is also back as well. But did you notice the ice cream shop? Ice cream was, as you remember, a treasure in Toontown Central that gave you 3 laughs each time you found one scattered around the playground. There aren't any treasures here, however, but there might be in there. It might be a rush mini game to find as many treasures as you can, or it might be a store where you buy treasures. So it might be served up as ice cream. The treasures also had different laugh boosts depending on what playground you're in. There were 3, 10, and 12. So you might be able to buy a small, medium, or large cup of ice cream, and they would tune you up by 3, 10, and 12 respectively. Also, the apartment buildings are still there and as 3D models, so they're not just for show, which improves my guess on being able to rent apartments. Lastly, see this building here? This might be the new design for Goofy's Gag Shop because the coloring looks exactly right, and the traditional drop gag hanging down is still there, but this time it's an anvil instead of a ton. Here's another picture of Toontropolis at dusk. Okay, so there's not much in this picture that we haven't already pointed out. But if you look at the next picture, you have a good idea on exactly where this toon is. This toon must be on the porch of the power building, mostly because of its surroundings. The same green and brown striped building is present and proportional in both pictures along with the blue building with the water tower on it. Also, it has the same design light bulb as the power building. Sheesh. I could just see them calling this the power tower. I know I would. In this next picture, we get a good view of Goofy's Gag Shop, which improves my suspicions from an earlier picture. The anvil, the color, everything matches up, and it looks cool! That still doesn't explain this target, though. Maybe you stand on it and some robot hands open the door and pull you in? Who knows? But this squished figure right here might have something to do with it. Okay, in this picture we see the same toon we've been following standing somewhere. We don't know where until we notice these symbols here. Then we notice most of the buildings have pink on them. Maybe this is the Toontown 2 version of Minnie's Melody Land? Our suspicions are even more confirmed in the next picture, but we'll wait. Let's talk about these mailboxes here. This might be how you send messages to other toons, which they could find in their mailboxes, which would explain the error mail in the first picture we looked at. Lastly, Did you notice that in the last couple of pictures, this dog has been sitting with the bored emotion? There aren't any chat buttons yet, or any buttons at all for that matter, on the screen. So maybe if you leave a tune somewhere for a couple of minutes, it'll start to get bored, then lay down and go to sleep like in 3D Mario games? On to the next picture. We're in the same exact location. Okay, do I even need to say it? This building proves that this is Minnie's Melody Land. The symbols, the pink buildings, the piano staircases, and the door with the 8th notes on them. It's almost too obvious. But when we look onto the next picture, we can see that this building is indeed in Toontropolis, which could lead us to believe that Toontropolis will be all of the old Toontown playgrounds in one. This would explain these forest-looking trees, which might be Daisy Gardens. Also, did you notice Goofy's Gag Shop? The anvil is now higher than it was, which would explain the target. Maybe you stand on the target and throw pies at it to make it go higher or lower. Or maybe this picture could shed some light. Okay, now we get a better idea on what this target here is. Here's a cog dummy right here. I think if you stand on the target, it'll make the anvil fall on the cog, which would explain this picture of the anvil closer to the ground and a figure squished. We also get a better view to the left. The ice blue buildings make it look like that around the corner the Berg is located. We also get a glimpse at either 1, an uncolored building, or 2, a building that leads to one of the cog cities, possibly to the Lawbot one due to the Berg's history. Maybe this could be that you get a passport if you qualify and laugh or gags. This could make many old players a quick comeback. So if this is what they're up to, I give them a big 2 thumbs up for thinking that one up. Okay, on to the next picture. This shows another picture of Toontown's central portion of Toontropolis. Looks like the cogs will be walking the streets of Toontropolis because of the field office that was just made. Okay, so we know that the field offices will be present in the game. So this almost confirms our suspicions on Lawbot and Cashbot field offices. But it already confirms that Cellbot field offices are going to be in the game, because it looks almost exactly the same. If you look to the left, however, it won't take a detective to figure out that the library is back. However, it looks a lot smaller and slanted than usual. And now for the last picture we'll be looking at today. Here's some more coverage of Toontropolis. Apparently when you first start the game, this is where you end up. Not much to check out here since we've already pointed out what is in this picture, but there is one more startling discovery. Do those look like plants for the silly meter to you? Could this mean the silly meter's back? But why would it be back when the power tower is present? Also, check out the trash can. That owl suspiciously looks like it could be from Pixie Hollow. This further pushes the suspicion that this alleged Toontown 2 might really be all 3 of the recently closed online games put together. Or maybe it just at least has callbacks to Pirates and Pixie Hollow. But how about this? The owl is wearing hypno goggles. Could this mean that instead of boosting tune-up, the trash cans will boost Lure's accuracy? And with that, we're done finding every possible thing we can find in the leaked Toontown 2 pictures. Remember, please post in the comments if you find something we missed. And many more pictures and even a possible video announcement at E3 2014 may happen. So, stay tuned!